Hey y'all, it's time for Rolling Dice and Taking Names. It's the special Gen Con recap episode. Each day in Indy, the guys recorded their daily activities, including games they played, people they saw, and events they attended. Plus, you'll hear all the details about the annual Strike Tournament.
Hello and welcome to Rolling Dice and Taking Names. This is episode 329, Hard Day's Night. My name is Marty.
And I'm Tony. Question.
Sure.
Should we turn off the fan for the room?
Yes.
12 seconds later.
Oh, that is quieter, isn't it? All right. So, Hard Day's Night. I just sprung that title on you right there, but that's what I'm going with because I feel like it's been a hard day's night on our first day here at Gen Con.
Okay, I'll go with that. I mean, we don't know, Chaz isn't here, but with Beatles songs are still allowed, so Hard Day's Night, I hope we haven't used it, but if we have, so what? We'll just move on.
You just made a really long callback reference to many years ago, but we'll let it slide.
I don't care.
People who don't listen. Okay, that's just great. All right, look, y'all, just like all of our Gen Con episodes, each night we're going to be talking about our day's events, and today is Wednesday, which is actually the day before the official start of the con. But Tony, you and I got to do several things. It's late, so this is going to be pretty quick.
Okay.
Didn't really get to do that much. I would like to roll back to last night when a bunch of us went out to the ballpark, the Indianapolis Indians. It was a great time hanging out with our buddies like Chevy, Dan King, Justin from Restoration Games, and Scott Morris, and a buddy of his. Scott Morris is now with Lucky Duck Games. It was a great night.
Yeah. Hubert, I believe his name was Hubert from Poland. That was his first night seeing a ball game. He enjoyed American baseball. It was a little slow for him, but I agree with him on that as well. But yes, it was a beautiful night. It was a little warm. It was Dollar Dog nights, and Chevy and I got into a hot dog eating contest, and we tied.
How many?
Three.
Okay.
Three each, and that didn't include the large lunch or the Cracker Jacks or anything else. So hopefully someday we'll be eating healthy here, but I seriously doubt that will happen anytime soon.
It sure didn't happen on Wednesday.
No, it did not happen on Wednesday. So, went to a ball game, saw a ball game. The Indians won.
Yep, and then the next day we got up and started setting up the booth. Well, actually, we'd set up a little bit of portal booths on Tuesday, finished setting it up, and we kind of knocked that thing out pretty quick, the fastest we've ever done it.
Well, the booth was definitely smaller. There wasn't as much to stage. They have, of course, AI Space.
AI Space Puzzle. I had 400 and something copies of that.
Right, and then they have 100 copies of Robinson Crusoe Collector's Edition, or CE.
Yep.
And then they have the books, and then they have a few detectives and some Imperial Miners.
And Brazil. They got everything there.
No Hiroshima, though. I was really hoping for some.
Oh, there's not.
I was really hoping for, the next series on that, but that's fine. That's okay. I understand. But they're only going to run 2 demos, and it's going to be AI Space Puzzle. So wish them luck on that.
After that, grab some quick lunch. And then we head over to a special event we got invited to, which was a kind of surprise, which is the kickoff party for D&D 50th anniversary, which they're introducing their Player's Guide 2024 here at Gen Con.
Okay, I'm going to back the truck up a little bit. We went to the Sauce on the Side, which we discovered last year. These incredible calzones. They were excellent. We got a dessert one that was the apple, and I broke down, tried a little bit, and there was a little too much nutmeg. And people don't care about what we talk about games. They care about our food.
Fair. And remember we talked about we didn't eat any better? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. On Wednesday, we did not eat any better.
I had vegetables in my calzone. I had some peppers.
Oh, that's fair.
Okay, and then some mac and cheese, and I forget what else is in it.
Mine had bacon, turkey, not turkey, barbecue chicken, and gosh, I can't even remember what else. It's really
chicken,
good.
Yeah, it's all good. Man, great place. If you're at Gen Con next year, be sure to check out Sauce on the Side. It's down past the Hampton.
Yeah, it's right across from the basketball arena. Yeah, that's an easy way to find it. And it's kind of off the beaten path so that it's not too crowded. All right, so back to the D&D event. It was a special event in a ballroom. There's a lot of people there, including a couple people, famous people from Critical Role. There were some voice actors, so it's kind of cool seeing them. We sat through a 2-hour presentation.
Yes, we did.
Of everything they're coming out with. They went in detail of the new player guide that's coming out, the new GM guide or DM guide that's coming out, the new monster guide. They spent a lot of time also focused on their new D&D Beyond, which is like the online component of their game, and Project Sigil, which is a 3D mapping tool using the Unreal Engine 5 for creating your own dungeon maps for the DM to use, which was kind of cool.
So I got a little confused by this.
Sure.
So on the Sigil mapping thing, they're going to let you, because they did say if you're just a player, you could use it for free, is what I heard.
The tool is free, period. But if you pay a subscription, you get all the stuff unlocked.
That's what I was trying to understand, because if I'm just a player, I can use my player there for free, is what I heard. But if you are like a DM and you won't be able to do a lot of stuff, then you're going to need to pay a subscription or a who knows what it's going to be.
They say a subscription. And here's the thing: the president that was just hired came over from Blizzard. And he was part of Blizzard towards the end of, towards the later part of World of Warcraft, and introduced Hearthstone, which means he has a lot of experience in creating a lot of virtual products for making money, some online products for making money, and not a lot of physical product experience, which means I feel Wizards is going to really lean into the online service for D&D.
Which brings me to my second confusion, because they even talked about this. So here is a map generated by Unreal 5. How many people are playing online versus face-to-face now?
Great question. I mean, here's the thing. They really emphasized the best way to play this game is sitting at the table.
Right.
But you can use this tool if you're sitting at the table to project the map on like a TV screen. So instead of using a map on the table, the DM can just show it on the screen and actually show your models where they are, and maybe some monsters or enemies that appear. So they're really kind of pushing, yeah, you can use it virtually, but we also want you to use it in person. How practical that is, I don't know. You and I aren't D&D players. We just wanted to go to the event, just kind of see what it was and what was going on, which was cool. So I'll leave that to the D&D experts on how they think that's going to go. And if you play this, come to our Discord channel. We got a lot of people play D&D. Yeah. What do you think about this new edition? And they did ask, what do we call it? Because it's like, is it 5.5? Is it 6? And it's like, well, it's D&D 5th edition 2024.
And went into depth on all these spells and how how they changed all these subclasses and characters. And I'll admit, like you said, we're not D&D players, so it kind of washed over me. But for me, one of the best things was they have cookbooks and drink books. Even for those of us who don't play, I mean, those accessories that were there, those were really nice. I really like it's really just a standard recipe that they stuck, maybe goblin tenderloin shish kebabs or something. That's really, so it's basically a chicken skewer. That's all it is. But anyway.
Yeah, and they have some toys that were showing off from Wizkids, like showing classic models and stuff like that. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. The Player's Guide is coming out here at Gen Con, and with the rest of the books coming later. Our next event we went to was, you're yawning over there.
I'm just tired.
Yeah, okay. Because it is, 11:24, and we got to be at the hall tomorrow, 8 a.m. All right. Was Lucky Duck? No, Asmodee. Asmodee was the next one. Luckily, we had got to see a lot of the stuff that was already there. Some of the biggest games we actually talked about in our last episode. We talked about the Arkham RPG, which was there. We talked about Mandalorian Adventures, which was there. Got to see Corey, the designer. Such a super nice guy. We were kind of praising him, and it's like, Corey, you're the best designer. We were sucking up to him, but
saw the Star Wars Unlimited team and praised them.
Sucking up to them, shaking their hands. Thank you so much for making us spend money.
It was so ugly. God, that was so ugly.
We were groveling. And
saw Bonacore.
Yeah, Stephen Bonacore. Well, a lot of people were there, but the thing I was most interested in that we had not seen yet was the Lord of the Rings Duel, which was based off the Seven Wonders Duel game. Very interesting when that comes out. Tell us about the Lego game that you saw.
I think it's called Lego Monkey Island, along those lines. You're trying to become the King Monkey or impress the King Monkey, maybe King Louie from Jungle Book. Whoever you want to do. And on your turn, so it's really an engine builder. This is coming out, I believe they said at Essen. So on your turn, you will be gathering pieces of Legos. Okay. And then those become your resources for the next round, and you build arches and pieces. So, I was sitting there thinking, I saw a little bit of the Santorini.
Oh, yeah.
Santorini, the game we recently played with the cats on the power lines.
Nekojima.
So I'm seeing all that running through my head as he's talking about it. And then you have various victory point cards, like whoever has the highest tower at the end of the game will get so many points. And it's based on these arches. It seemed very interesting. And from one of the people I was talking to is for every Lego game that's come out, they've all sucked.
Sure.
And they're saying, well, this one at least has promise in the fact that it's actually got a gamer's game to it with the building a tableau and having resources. If you're into the Legos, it's something I'm looking forward to. Hopefully that we'll get to play.
Mm-hmm. Got to see the altered card game. We've already seen that. We've backed it, so we're just kind of waiting on that. There was a lot of other games. I don't know if there's anything else stuck out to you. There's a lot of games there.
Forest Shuffle, the expansion. I do want to mention that
people were interested in that.
People were interested in Forest Shuffle, the expansion. The biggest thing that when I was talking to the gentleman, I said, so tell me, why do I need this expansion? That's always the question.
Great question.
And he said, with the expansion, you are diluting that deck. So it changes the original strategies that people may have had with Forest Shuffle. And he's like, so you may not be able to, you settled in on the cave strategy or collecting the butterfly strategy or something like that. He says it's diluting them so that you may have to, instead of being one, you may have to do multiple to be able to win. I said, okay, well, that was interesting to hear that he was admitting that's one of the big purposes. Now, they introduced a bunch of new animals, of course, and that have various capabilities. There's an additional cave animal that may get people to invest into the bear caves, things like that. If you enjoyed Forest Shuffle, then this is probably an expansion that you might want to definitely pick up, because he's saying the people that have played with it do not want to not play with Forest Shuffle.
Then we move on to Lucky Duck.
Lucky Duck
had an event, and they handed out 4 games. We have not got to play any of these, so we really can't talk about them. The biggest one that's coming out here is Nestlings. It has birds and eggs. That's all I know about.
That's all we know about.
Does it look like there was a rondelle sort of thing? So we're just looking at the back of it. It looks like if there's a rondelle thing, I'm in. So I don't want to say anything else about it because I'm really not sure. Got a game called party game called Captain Obvious.
Yes, I love the title.
Yeah, I definitely want to try that. Quartz, the dice game. If you like Quartz, Chevy and Ben, a couple of friends of ours are playing it right now. They said, well, it's Quartz with dice and plus another like co-op game. Really can't talk too much about those because we just haven't played them. So you'll probably hear at least about Nestlings and probably Captain Obvious soon.
Lego theme, and we also built Legos there. They had little Lego bird kits, and that was hilarious. Chevy was building a hummingbird, and what was Ben's bird?
It was a parrot.
It was a parrot. So they put those together, and you could take them home. There were flamingo birds. Some people came in, basically ate a slice of pizza, and they were busy playing with the Legos. It's amazing. Put stuff like that out there, and people will gravitate to it.
Then right after that, we walked over to the Hatchette event. They had a lot of games on the table. Now, luckily, you and I have also already seen and talked about a lot of these in our last episode. We talked about Chronologic In Search of Marie Curie. They were showing other games we talked about before, Vampire Village, which we're still a big fan of. Upcoming games, they have Dead Cells, which is based on the video game, coming out of Essen. I didn't really see how that worked or anything like that. The one that we picked up that we're excited about is, and I picked up the game, I was very interested just because the art was Middle Ages. I didn't realize this. 2 people told me, then you told me, oh, this is based on an old Z-Man game called Majesty. So I was already kind of interested in it. And then everybody was saying, oh, if this is based off Majesty, it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, Majesty was a great game. I hate I got rid of it, but when you don't play with games and you got to call the selection, it's like, okay, we'll go ahead and put this on the pile. They did have another game there that you and I got to play on Wednesday called Now.
Yes. Yep.
I'll tell you about it now. Now is a game where you are trying to be collecting cards that either have red or blue marks on them. And as you're playing, you are shedding cards in your hand. You have your own personal deck. And you say, now, when you are ready to say, okay, I've stopped shedding these cards, and the cards that are on the table, if whoever is closest to it without going over will collect that card.
Right. But I think the important thing is you don't get to pick what you shed. So you take all the cards and turn them face up. You can't look through them. You just peel off one card at a time. And then when you feel like you're closest to the one you want, you say now.
Now.
Yeah.
And if you're like playing with 4 people, if 3 people say now, then that person stops. So what happens when you get to the bottom? Then you are stuck with the last card in your draw pile until there is a reshuffle card that is drawn. So I was talking to the gentleman from Randolph Games about that and said I got to play it. Very interesting. The scoring on this was very interesting. You subtract the number of red ticks versus the blue tick. The difference is your total.
So you're really trying to get all of one color.
All of one color.
If you started out with all red, you don't want to be claiming blue. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it sounds kind of like, oh, this sounds boring. But the fun part of it is, of course, when you think you're closest to it and someone comes in right above you.
Or the worst thing is when you don't want one and you get stuck with something.
You get stuck with one. So, quick, fast playing game. I said, for my family, or I mean, for the older group that I play with, I'm not sure that they would enjoy this now concept. He says, well, the original design, they didn't do the 3 of 4 or how many players. It's a stop. They just let people, say when you're ready, you stop.
Oh, yeah.
That he says that really entices the kids.
Okay.
He says, so there's a variant for you. If you're interested in it. I said, okay, well, it was interesting.
And then the reason why we're starting to record late is because we need to pick up our event tickets, because one of the things we're going to tomorrow is the in-flight report for Fantasy Flight. So we went and got in the line that was, I don't even know how to describe how long the line was. It was ridiculously long. And I said, dude, this is going to be hours. And you said, nope, you heard it was only 45 minutes. And I got to say, it was only 45 minutes long.
45 minutes.
Kudos to the Gen Con staff for moving that line. And they did. They got people moved. They had tons of windows for people to go up and get their tickets at. And there were people calling out, hey, you go down to this window, you down to this window. So we got through that, got our tickets, and we're going to be ready to go for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and I said, when does it open tomorrow? He says 9 a.m. And you're like, hey, maybe. I'm like, no, I don't want to get up early to go line up. We're already up. Let's just stay in line. And it did. It moved very fast.
Yeah, it did. So we're going to wrap that up real quick because we need to be going to bed, because we're going to get up early and head over to the hall, because tomorrow is the in-flight report, which you're going to be hearing about. And of course, the big strike tournament is tomorrow night, which will be the main focus of the next segment, which for you is going to come up in just a few seconds, unless we have an ad right here. But for us, it's going to be about 18 to 20 hours from now. Gametoppers Kickstarter is currently going on right now. Let me tell you, at our strike event, people were going crazy over the mats that Berkey was giving away. Super-sized, nice mats. And now on the Kickstarter, he has a bunch of mats with new art, terrain mats that... hey, if Tony and I ever get to Heavy into Miniatures game, we got a terrain mat that we can actually use to play on. And he's also got the nice mats that you put on the rails now. He's got a sci-fi theme that you can attach to those rails. Oh, he has these stitched play mats, one of them being the space mat that would look really cool when we're playing Star Wars Unlimited. It's hard to explain all of it. What you need to do is honestly just go over to GameToppersLLC.com and find the link for the Kickstarter and go check it out.
Or go on to the Kickstarter and just type in Gametoppers and you can see 4.5. But I will say this, at Gen Con, I was looking at some of those professionally built tables. Do you want to pay $6,000 or less than $1,000 for your game topper and use the table that you have? Those were some very nice tables. Nothing to take away from vendors that were here, but I'm telling you, I mean, for my money, that Game Toppers will serve the need that I have for getting a game out or setting up a game on a nice, typical plastic table that you can get from Sam's and set it up, just like we were talking about with Elder Scrolls. Leave it out forever, out of the way. Game Toppers is the answer for that.
One table I saw was $13,000. That was sitting out on the floor.
That's just crazy.
I mean, somebody just asked, he said, how much is? I said, this one's $13,000. Like he was expecting the guy to go, how many do you want? I mean, it's like, it was crazy. I mean, it was nice. It was almost too nice. Like, somebody's going to spill a drink on this.
Exactly. and with the leaves for Game Toppers, that becomes a normal table for you. And there's also the leg kits. So be sure to head over to the Kickstarter, get in there, put in the $25 Kickstarter commitment, and then you can do an a la carte. That's GameToppersLLC.com. Well, here it is, Thursday night, and my feet are freaking killing me.
That's going to be the start of every night.
I know. I need to remember to take some Advil before we, head out, or maybe take it when we come back by the hotel sometime, just so I'm prepared for it, so they don't hurt as bad. But another busy day, trouncing ourselves around the hall, and then, of course, we had our big strike tournament, and all that will be expressed in this
segment.
Segment. I don't know. I'm just in a pissy mood right now.
I don't.
Okay, I'm just pissy. All right, we'll leave it at that.
All right. So this was the first day that the hall opened, but before the hall opened, it was like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? They're selling Star Wars Unlimited exclusive cards.
Yes, they are.
And I thought, okay, they have an event that opens up at 9 a.m. You get onto the app, you go on there, and then you claim a ticket, and you just pick it up anytime. So I get on there at 8:59, refresh, 9 a.m. hits, refresh, pause, and then it's just the wheels a little spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, nothing's happening, buffering, sold out.
There it is, done. And now there's a lot of these 9 a.m. events going on.
D&D, I think, maybe, and forgetting the player handbook.
Yeah, and I don't know if there were others, but I did hear some people talking about how they were trying to also get on. I don't know if they were D&D, but D&D and definitely the Star Wars were two of the big ones.
Yeah, exactly. So that didn't happen, but we know what we want to do at 10 a.m., and that was go over to Spin Master Games and go pick up Comic Hunters. So we go over there, and it's like, 10 till, 15 till, whatever we got there, there's already a line there.
Sorry, line exhibitors.
Yeah, exhibitors who
like
want
us.
to pick up who want to pick up Comic Hunters. But you know what, Tony? They're not selling Comic Hunters yet until the doors open at 10.
That's right. But what we did find out there was also is it DC or no? It was Marvel Unlimited.
Oh, there was a special promo pack for Marvel Unlimited that people were also there for.
Mm-hmm. So it was buy one, you might as well buy the other one.
Right.
I mean, $25. You could. Here's the thing. So you could pick up Comic Hunters at Barnes and Noble right now. They said you could go ahead and order that. Matter of fact, if you scan a QR code at their booth, you get 10% off. I'm like, okay, all right, well, that's pretty good, but I'm here.
Yeah, I want to pick it up here.
And I want to pick up a promo pack.
What is Comic Hunters? For people who don't know, it's a game that came out in Brazil, and it is a drafting card game. But what's so cool about it is the cards are covers of Marvel Comics, actual Marvel Comics. You and I got to play this several years ago at Mega Moose Con. We thought it was really cool. We wish we get an English version of it. Well, an English version is now out, and people were excited about it.
That's right. $25 if you like drafting.
Yep.
Pick it up. It's got the cool comics covers on it, so it'll take you back. Very nice. And so we actually did get to, and I thought we were going to get the promo packs, but you have to go attend the demo.
Mm-hmm.
But so we did not get promo packs. So we did that. That concluded the morning rush.
That's right. And then we headed over to the in-flight report. This is the first time Fantasy Flight has done their big in-flight report, which to me is like the closest thing we would have to E3 here. 900 people in a room with them revealing a bunch of events and products and stuff like that. And they went through their product line, announced several things. There's a new expansion coming from Arkham, which I'm excited about. Cthulhu's coming. And they said several years ago, if you ever see Cthulhu in a campaign, that means the game is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
I said that is not the case. It's just something major is happening in Arkham, so I'm curious about that. There's a new Marvel Champions expansion coming, just teased, Shields, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But we were very excited about some of the stuff they talked about for Star Wars Unlimited.
Right. What was the town they're drowning in, Arkham? Do you remember? I don't remember.
Was it called Drowning City, Drowning Town? I've actually got a picture of it here.
Yeah. So, I mean, people were enjoying that news.
The Drowned City is what it's called.
Drowned City.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, yeah, people were very excited that, Star Wars Unlimited. So we got to be teased with who the next leaders are.
It is General Grievous and Ahsoka.
And the reason why I let you do that is I had no clue who the woman
Ahsoka
with the
was.
Ahsoka was, the little ear-looking woman.
Yeah, so she's from Clone Wars, which is the cartoon. She really got big in that. People are super excited about that. So those are the two leaders that's been revealed. In addition, they also revealed the names of the next 3 sets coming in 2025, which is Jump to Lightspeed, Legends of the Force, and Secrets of Power. And people were in there were super excited. Of course, we don't know anything about that, but people were excited to hear what the next sets coming up were. So, and that was cool to sit in there. The head of GameGenic came in. He had a really good time teasing a bunch of products that were coming out, and they were doing this little thing back and forth with FFG saying, I was told not to tease this, but I'm going to tease it anyway. I'm going to tease it anyway. It just happens to be in the slide presentation.
Yeah, speed it up. Let's go. So beautiful artworks coming for the new mats. Very nice deck protectors. Have to agree with the man says. They do shuffle like butter when they slide together. So their stuff is top of the line for the Star Wars Unlimited. So it's hard to say, hey, No, I'll just go with standard other deck protectors. You might, for $8, you might as well pick them up. Yeah, sure, you can pick up some other ones for maybe $2. They're called penny sleeves or something, but get these. These are amazing.
And these are made specifically for the game because they come with 2 clear sleeves, which are used for your leader and your base, and 60 other sleeves. So really, really good stuff that they make. All right, so then after that, we ran over to Plaid Hat Games to see their Kickstarter Freelancer.
So we got to actually play a little bit of it.
Yes. So this is based off a couple of the previous games. I can't remember what they are right now. So what happens when it's late at night?
Okay. All right. We don't have to talk about basically the biggest thing I want to share here with the audience is that this is an app-driven type of game. It is a book game. I was, instead of doing one page at a time, you're jumping over the book. There are various scenarios. You're fighting. You're trying to collect bounties. And it was, I haven't played one of these in a while. And I'm like, oh, good God, an app? Really? But watching the app, it was very well designed. There was a few things that were glitchy with it. So maybe when it comes...
Well, they're still working on it.
They're still working on it. But I did like how you had the ability, instead of having to type in numbers to show events. It was very interesting. You can play, I think it was up to 5 people, and they all have various positions on a starship. And you're in the starship. It's a ragtag starship that's going...
they're doing like bounties. They're collecting bounties. I said the wrong thing. The game that's based on it was Freelancers. What this is called is Wandering Galaxy.
Okay. I thought there was a W in there, but Lord knows I'm not going to correct you.
You please do, because it'd be $5. So what's on Kickstarter now is Wandering Galaxy. If you've played Freelancers, it's going to have that same feel to it.
Right.
I don't know if the game is for me. There's a lot of sitting there listening to the app and reading, and not a lot of stuff the players do.
Right.
But I know a lot of people are big fans of Freelancers. They said they've, kind of tweaked upon that mechanic. There's some clever things with being able to take your ship around the map and everything like that. So anyway, it's on Kickstarter right now. It's a Crossroads game. If you want to, go check it out. Next, we headed over to Floodgate Games to hang out with our buddy Ian, who basically was just like, hey, I just like sitting and talking to you guys. Their big game was Landmarks. We've already talked about on the show. You actually got a copy of it.
I know,
you
because it's so good.
You need it for your group. Yeah,
that's right. It's so good. They were selling them out. Good for them. We talked about, Sagrada. He said there's something possibly coming for that. I love how every one of these booths, there's always something possibly coming, or you need to just pay attention, or see you next year. So, it was a common thread this year so far, especially, for today. But yeah, so they were talking about that. We asked about kites, skyrockets, how things were going there. Everything was, doing really well for them. And they're very good, friendly, family-friendly games. Sagrada is always a fan favorite. He was talking about how that one continues, even though it's been out for a long time. Everybody seems to be picking that one up.
Yep. So they're still doing very well. Jumped over to Wizkids. I never played. They have the game coming up, Tales of Arthurian Nights. I never played Tales of Arabian Nights.
No, I did not.
I'm kind of interested in it. The board is really gorgeous, looks nice and everything. So that's on pre-order right now. You can get that on their website. Something you probably were interested in is a deck builder, Star Trek Captain's Chair.
Yeah, didn't get the demo. Don't know a lot about it other than that I saw Jean-Luc there. So engaged. Let's go get that game out. I'm ready to play. And then they had another one from a Star Trek. I don't remember, but it had some gorgeous models.
Oh, it was a miniatures based game.
Miniatures game to scale, and there's templates to help move. So I'm very interested in that. Wizkids keep coming out with the Star Trek. I'll be looking forward to that.
Next, we just had never really talked to Mind Clash Games before. They make the games such as like Voidfall, which was super hot last year. So we went and talked to them and just kind of introduced ourselves. They have a game coming out that I was interested in called Ironwood. It's currently on Pledge Manager right now. It's going to be coming out later in the fall. I know that they make these really heavy games. This seems a little bit on the lighter side. But anyway, just kind of good to say, hey, here's who we are. They said, I have no idea who you are. Why are you talking to us? And you're wasting all of our time. I said, thank you very much for your time. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we just kind of just went by there, and they have, like I said, every time they come out the game, it seems like it's very popular.
Then next we went over to Kosmos. What stood out there for everybody is their new one called The Gang. It's basically Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, but co-op.
Was it co-op? I mean, we were all
Yes.
vying. We were all vying for chips, and whoever had the most chips. We weren't trying to win. We were vying for the various. Hey, do I have the best hand?
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever had the most at the end won.
Yeah. No. Wow. No. The goal was to, at the very end of the game, have all the hands ranked correctly.
Oh.
Yeah.
No wonder I played so terribly.
Yeah. So it's like you said, like it's Texas Hold'em. You just kind of guess how well you think your hand is, and you grab these chips, but you can't show your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to the river,
Mm-hmm.
put 2 cards in the river, 2 cards,
one.
1 card in the river, and then they do the turn in the
Flop.
Wait, is it
No,
the
it's
flop,
the flop.
turn river?
Yeah, whatever. Texas Hold'em, those who know how to play, it's not worth $5.
Anyway,
so they're
every time
doing
they put
that.
out a card, you reevaluate. It's like, okay, now I think my card may be maybe the 4th best card here, so I'm going to grab the 4th best chip. And somebody else may think, oh, no, mine's the 4th. And you grab and you trade and everything. After the final card is done, that's it. That's how you evaluate. So you reveal all your suits, and if the worst hand does have the number 1 token, great, and you try to evaluate from there. I had the best hand. I had a flush.
Yeah, so that was easy.
That was easy because I did it. But anyway.
So one thing about the gang, think of the Deep, but with Texas Hold'em. So you know how in the Deep you're playing the co-op game, trying to achieve the various missions, playing cards, playing tricks. Here the gang is playing Texas Hold'em.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's right. Now I remember.
Then we got to go see another game, Noonatak, which is kind of a 3D building game. You're trying to place your plastic pieces on the board and build levels by placing cardboard pieces on top of them. It looks kind of clever. I mean, didn't seem like a very heavy game.
No, it's not. You're scoring based on levels on control or majority or whatever. So yeah, this is definitely a very family friendly game. I think kids would jump all over this.
Yep. So anyway, they're always coming out with pretty good stuff over there. Then it was over to Bezier Games. We got to hang out with a gentleman who works there named Jay Bernardo. He taught us Rebel Princess. I was immediately impressed and picked up the game.
Yes, you did.
A trick-taking game, but you don't want to take any tricks with the princes. It's kind of like Hearts. It kind of plays the same way. You just don't want to take any hearts, and here you don't want to take any princes.
Right, no Trump.
There's a few more tricks to that.
That's right. You watch out for the frog, which would be the Queen of Spades.
Yep.
So if you're familiar with that, you got some special powers floating around
Yep.
from the various princesses that are going to happen there. Well, it's really good about this game from the standpoint if you have people that do not play a lot of cards or don't really understand terms like short suiting or trump or things like that, this game was definitely something to consider because you don't have to worry so much about that. It's about trying to avoid the various princes as well as the frog.
Yes. So immediately I understood it. The unique princess powers, obviously is going to make it very different than Hearts. Got it. Can't wait to play it, review it, and tell y'all a lot more about it. He also shows us how to play Sears Catalog. This is a game that you and I got to play at Southern Fried Gaming Expo. We didn't really understand how to play it. All of us really couldn't figure out the rule book, so it was nice to have him walk us through what this game is. It's an odd game where it's a card shedding game, but you don't want to be the first one to shed all your cards.
Right.
You don't want to be the last one to shed all your cards. Come to find, the whole goal, honestly, is to have 5 or less cards in your hand once the round ends, after somebody has gotten rid of their last card. And the card shedding is done by somebody will play a run, a pair, or whatever, and somebody has to play a better pair, a better run on their turn. So that's how you're getting rid of the cards.
Right. Teach you. That's that's what you're doing here. So after his explanation and he and I going over some of the rules in the rule book, I think I understand it better, especially on the scoring. I think it could be confusing if you're looking from the artifacts. The artifacts are probably the most challenging part of this game to understand because other than that, I mean, it's a card shedding game.
And then it's like, all right, so we've been collecting a few games and stuff for our big strike tournament that was tonight.
But before
that,
we didn't talk about Hobby Japan.
All right, go ahead. This is interesting. So for those who don't remember, Hobby Japan, we picked up Builders High. Was that the game?
Builders High.
Last year. Loved it. But we got there on the last day. They had sold all of their best little card games. And so we said, first place, we're going to go to Hobby Japan and pick up some of the card games. You and I go over there. They don't have any of their card games there, but they only have one game.
One game.
Called Gibberish.
That's it. Gibberish. And they got 60 copies, and that's it. That's all they got, 60 copies.
Can you even explain how this game works?
Yeah, I think I can give it a good shot. I liked how they were right at the door, and they were right near Portal's booth, so that made it easy for us to get over there. And I was like, okay, so let's go over there. So first off, the gentleman is explaining the game, and yes, there's a little language barrier, which made it even funnier to me.
So they're obviously Japanese, and we can't speak Japanese, and they speak very broken English.
Yeah, but their English is very, very good. For me, I mean, when I think about it, he was doing pretty well. But anyway, so he's explaining this game. Basically, think of it like this. And this is how I got it into my mind. So hopefully you are someone who speaks a different language, or you are developing your own language.
Yes, your group is developing their own language.
So, okay, let's go there. Let's go to you are a caveman. And you are developing your language, but there are translations over to another word that you're more familiar with. So you are trying to explain a item on a card using gibberish, made up words, hoping that the people you're giving the clue to can come up with what that word is in their common language.
Right. And you start out with a base set of words that already exist. And they say, okay, I mean, it could be goobla means big.
Right.
And it's just made, like you said, made up words. And there's different levels of words. The first level of words are very, very simple. And the idea is you're building up these made up words such that as you get to more complicated words, you have more words in your vocabulary to be able to explain those.
Yeah. And I know you said it was made up, but I was associating with you're trying to learn another language and you're finding common words between the two people.
Yes, yeah. But what I'm saying is that once these words are established, they're on the table.
Right.
And if the person, you had a prime example, you're supposed to try to explain what a giraffe is. So you try to put together these gibberish words, common gibberish words on the table in like a sentence to try to give a clue to what your word is. And once that word is established, then a made up word is made for like giraffe.
Well, you make it up to begin with. And so I got to say, ulak, naguna, chnuni. And it could have been long, animal, vegetable, or plant, or something like that.
Long
I don't know.
Animal, plant.
Or something. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, if you had the word neck, you could go long animal neck.
And you would put it all together and you say, oh, that's giraffe. And then now, ula means giraffe.
And then somebody draws another card, and maybe they get to use giraffe as part of their clue. Anyway, it was enough to where we go, how much is it? And they said $20. They said, here's $20. And they sold out that day. And basically all they're doing now is just sitting there just giving demos for a game that you can't buy. And that's the only game in their booth.
Yeah, they have $5,000. They spent $5,000 for a bunch of people to fly over, or $5,000 for the booth. They sold out in one day at $20. I mean, math is not hard here, but hey, I mean, if you can get this game, to be honest, it's going to be fun.
We're going to play it, and we'll come back and give you all a full review of it, but it should be very interesting. All right, so like I said earlier, we were getting a lot of publishers donated stuff for us to give, so we were getting ready to go out and take the stuff over to the restaurant, and we walk out, and it is pouring rain. Outside, and we're going, unbelievable. Because we realized there's boxes in a room. We got to go get boxes from a room. We got to go get these boxes over to the old spaghetti warehouse. We looked at the radar. It's like, looks like there's a break coming. It slacked off a little bit. So we're walking in the rain, taking boxes of goodies over to old spaghetti factory.
Right. Get them delivered to the old spaghetti factory. They give us the opportunity to go into the room and dump that stuff off, head back over to the hall. Miniature Market, thank you so much for sponsoring us. Thank you so much for providing that. But when we get to the Miniature Market booth, they go, we kind of misestimated on how many boxes you got.
Well, how many boxes was it?
There was
36.
No, there
32, was 24. I mean,
16. It was 16 because it was
that
8.
Was it?
There was 8 in each cart.
God, felt like it was a lot more.
I know. So there were 16. So we had to get all those boxes over. They were not heavy. They weren't big. It's not like we'd had in the previous where we were sloughing over a ton of stuff when they gave us the little boxes. Either way, that was great that they provided that. So, we were like, oh, how are we going to get these over? We were able to get the carts. We were able to slough that over there. We got all that set up. And then, so now we are in the restaurant. Good Games Publishing shows up. They've got Trick Draw for us. Thank you so much for that. That was great. And I'm outside waiting on where is Ravensburger.
I was wondering where you were. So inside, I was trying to get everything set up, getting bowls on the table, trying to talk to Chevy and Ben. Thank you guys so much for helping us. We couldn't do it without you. Two of Kevin Berkey's friends helped us out there too. So we're just trying to get organized. How are we going to get the games into people's hands? Because Ravensburger's not there yet with the shirts. Mm-hmm. The idea was when they came in, we would look their name up and give them the right size shirt. Obviously, you're outside. I didn't know where you were at the point. And then the wait staff comes in and says, we're going to start letting them in. So they start lining them up, and I'm trying to go through the list. We don't have the shirts yet. So I'm just trying to give them a sticker to let them know that they're paid. Wait staff comes in and says, your line is blocking everything in the restaurant. So we said, fine, we have to sit them all down. And this is where Berkey's friends really helped us out by going around to each table, checking off the person's name, giving them a sticker of where they represent Gladiators of Old Dyson Arena, which also indicates that they paid and supposed to be there. And then finally the shirts show up.
Yeah, the shirts are there. They're already sorted by size. Thank goodness. Thank you, Ravensburger, for doing that. They put them in a little bag. It was great. So while that's going on, so we've got Berkey's friends going around validating everybody. Marty's going around handing out games. Meanwhile, I'm going around each table, getting all the shirt sizes from the people. And we are just flying through this whole restaurant, matching things up. Meanwhile, people are playing Strike. And we have
ordering food.
We're getting our food delivered, getting the drinks. Everything's happening all at one time. And then meanwhile, thank you to Thunderworks for bringing in some prizes. Thanks to Queen Games. They brought in an amazing amount of prizes. Cephalofair. And then Ravensburger brings in this huge box. And says these are for first and second for first place winner. They will get one each of all the new releases here at Gen Con.
Crazy. Unreal. And then Portal Games donated a bunch of stuff too.
Right.
I mean, I hate. Are we missing anybody? I'm afraid that we are.
And Berkey with mats. Berkey just donated so much. Thank you, Berkey, for doing that. And if you have not gone out and checked out his Kickstarter, please do. 4.5 that's out there. Some of the, we rave about the mats. You don't need a table, but when the people won the mats, they were super excited. So unreal. I would have rolled them out there if I didn't mess somebody's up. Cover up some spaghetti
we
sauce.
Got the game set. So that's right, y'all. Everybody for $25 got a shirt, 3 games plus the meal. It was an amazing time. So each table had winners, and then as people were eating, we had to start setting up the semifinals.
Right.
So we had to have 2 semifinal games, essentially. I guess it would really be quarterfinal games somewhat for the Dice in the Bowl winners, and the same for the Gladiators in the Arena. And it was narrowed down to there was 3 on each side.
And then we did the raffle, and it was a good time held by all. We said goodnight, and we walked out the door.
But before that happened, we did play the championship game.
And we have asterisks everywhere.
Okay, why is there? Okay, let's go ahead and jump to the conclusion. For only the second time, I'm going to be humble about this. Dice in the Bowl have won.
You're right.
And in fact, it was a destruction because at one point in time, there was only 1 Gladiators in the Arena player left, and there was 3. Mm-hmm. All 3 of the Dice in the Bowl were there.
All right, so asterisk number 1.
Okay, here we go.
Asterisk number 1. More Gladiators in the Arena won to go to the semifinals.
So I actually miscalculated. There were only 2 more that did it.
Okay.
It was 12. It was
fine.
12 and 10. I miscalculated. At first, I thought Bonacore was a gladiator.
No.
And he got really upset. He said, no, I'm Dice in the Bowl, so I counted wrong. So that's why we actually had to have 2 quarterfinal games before.
Okay, see, when you said that, I was like, oh well, this is not fair. If I have 2-1 in representation, then I should have 2-1 in the finals. So instead of you getting 3 and 3, it should have been 4 and 2. But fine, okay, all right, I will erase that asterisk.
I will say that Alicia, who is David Waybright's wife from Man vs. Meeple, hung in there.
Yes.
Explain what happened with her. It was insane, the stuff we were seeing in this game, y'all, in the championship game.
Right.
Now.
So in the second asterisk, of course, is we lined up all the Dice in the Bowl on one side and all the Gladiators in Arena. Well, if a Gladiators in Arena cleared the bowl, the next Gladiators in Arena would have to roll all theirs. No. It should have been a Dice in the Bowl. And the same thing could have happened on the other side. So it was unfair to both sides.
Yeah.
But it seemed like Gladiators in Arena were doing better job at matching their dice. Now back to Alicia. So Alicia was finally defending the gladiators in the arena. The dice in the bowl people are rolling. The bowl comes to her empty. You have to commit all of your dice to the bowl, and she only has 2 dice. She rolls. Both of them match.
Both threes.
Both threes. She takes them out. That gives an empty bowl to one of the dice in the bowl. They have to roll. They did a good job. They got some good matches out of that. Then they go through their 3. Somebody gets knocked out. She goes back around. Oh, she's got an empty bowl coming to her again. So once again, empty bowl. This is it. We're done. We're done. This is it. Our championship is lost. But no, she commits 2 more dice. 2 more 3s show up.
Crazy. The crowd, y'all, was going insane. It was just such a wild game.
Yes. And then, so the next guy has to commit. He has an incredible roll and gets a lot of matches. And then we go, okay, fine. Next one rolls. Alicia goes. She doesn't match. She goes in and commits her last dice, hoping for a Hail Mary. And it was full of grace. No, it wasn't. She lost.
Yeah. And so then it came down to the final 2 dice in the bowl, and we had a winner from that who literally they just walked away with like all these mats, all these games. It was insane. And big thanks to Emily Detmer, who made trophies for us. Mm-hmm. She sculpted these trophies that represent, she made these designs of Dice in a Bowl and Gladiators in the Arena and sculpted out that logo of each of them in styrofoam. Mm-hmm. And we gave the last person standing of each side those trophies. And the champion, Dice in a Bowl, has a little belt or a ribbon that's a sash that's across the trophy that says champion.
That's right. A couple of big shout outs for everyone who showed up, everybody who said thank you to us. We really do appreciate it. We appreciate you listening. And then John Detmer, Emily's husband, surprised us. He had sculpted 2 figurines for Marty and I from the time that we were on their RPG
Incorrigible Party
podcast, and we were a 2-headed ogre, Statdorf.
Yeah.
I think that's it from Waldorf and Statler. And he did that for us, and I'm here to oar you.
And he has an Enten with a oar. We'll need to share some pictures.
That's right.
We'll get some pictures up so everyone can see them because it is absolutely amazing. We've carefully packed it back up so that hopefully it'll make the flight back home, and we'll share some pictures when we get back. So big thanks to them. Big thanks to everybody. Big thanks to our major sponsors, Ravensburger, Good Games Publishing, and Miniature Market, and obviously Berkey stepping in there at the last minute to provide all this prize support, which was absolutely insane. But mainly thanks to everybody who attended. I think the official number was 110 that were in there. It was amazing. Next year, we're going to try to do a better job of make sure we advertise when the tickets are getting way in advance and when tickets are going to become available. 2, have more tickets available on the first day. We had 80 available first day. They were going so fast. We're going to have at least 100 available first day this time. 3, organize better when y'all come in. Have that process streamlined a little bit better. So we could just make that as easy as possible. 4, Marty needs to, when he prints out the attendee list, to make sure it's assorted in alphabetical order. Yes, I had the list not in alphabetical order, which is why it was taking forever to go through 100 and something people.
I wish I had known that mine was alphabetical because I printed it out too. Mine was alphabetical, sorted, all that fun stuff. So yeah, big times. All right, with that, I'm done with today.
Woohoo! Dice in a Bowl, Champions 2024.
He didn't make it to Gen Con, and let me just tell you, the game that was hot at the Portal booth was
AI Space Puzzle.
That's right, AI Space.
I could tell y'all, he had that look in his eyes like, what was
every time I wanted to go, Space Puzzle AI. No, that's not right. It's AI Space Puzzle. Or is it Space Puzzle AI? Head over to shopportalgames.com. Just type in Space Puzzle, and it'll pop right up in your search window. I mean, yeah, this thing it's one of the best sellers that, according to Chevy, they've had at a show in a while. People were loving it. They were demoing it, and they were walking over there and they're buying. Next big seller, believe it or not, was the Robinson Crusoe adventure book. That's right. Got all the scenarios in one book. people were going up there buying that up so that they could continue to get decimated and defeated and feel real bad. But when you play Robinson, but that's that game. Imperial Miners sold out as well. Chevy brought copies for that. Picked up the show. I was really hoping to grab one on end day, but I'm not going to, I can go to shopportalgames.com. I don't know if you heard me. Head over to shopportalgames.com for all your Portal needs.
Your Portal needs?
Your Portal needs. The games you need from Portal needs.
All right, y'all. It's Friday night. I'm still on a high from the big strike event last night. But Tony had another big day meeting people, publishers, walking around the floor. What kicked us off today?
We started off the day by going to breakfast. That's what started me off.
At the Hampton Inn. Free breakfast at the Hampton Inn.
Yeah, but the eggs were kind of powdery today.
Yeah, but I like this better than that cheesy omelet thing.
You do?
Yes.
See, I prefer my eggs where I don't have to, they're little pebbles. I like bigger chunks of eggs, you know?
I just don't like that cheesy omelet with what is not real sausage patties. At least I feel like the bacon that we got today was
bacon
real
was good.
bacon.
Yeah, so I don't know what Saturday is. I do know we need to get in there earlier tomorrow so that we can, well, first we got an event at 8 a.m. I don't know what idiot signed us up for that.
That would be me.
Okay.
And as we record at 11:06 at night.
Yeah, that's I'm not worried about that. If it was 1 a.m. like it was the other night, it'd be a problem. But yeah, so breakfast was very good. You know, sit down, plan our day. And our first meeting is with CGE. For those who need to quick game on this, or a game that you probably know them pretty well by, I'm going to have to say code names. You might know that one.
Yeah. Definitely the most popular. Lost Ruins Varnak was another big one for us, but they were showing us the games that will be coming out soon. The biggest is what he spent the most time with is SETI, S-E-T-I, which is a game based in factual science of trying to look for extraterrestrial life.
And you find them.
You actually do find them, which is some of the variability of the game is there's different aliens that you'll discover, and they do different things.
So, I mean, the game is one of those that it's a lengthy one. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a lengthy one, but it looked amazing on the table. From the rules standpoint, I mean, you've got parts moving everywhere. You're trying to move up all these tracks. It was beautiful.
It's a beautiful board. It's a huge board. I can't imagine the setup time for this game. It is a beast. It is one that they said will probably take over 2.5 hours with 4 players. The teach is 30 to 40 minutes. Just let you know, this is going to be coming out of Essen. A lot of people are buzzed about it, but it is somewhat of a heavier game, so you might want to see some reviews and hear some reviews and stuff before you decide you might want to jump into it.
And what was the one? I can never say Contahora, that one?
Yeah, Kutnahora.
Yeah. So you got to play it. I have not played it yet.
I feel that's going to be an easier game than what this one was.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. But, I mean, so get ready for it. I mean, and what was the price point on that? I think he said it was like
it was not that bad. $70 or so?
$70, $80 like that for all these parts and everything. The card art, I mean, it was not all final, but some of the card art was gorgeous, and it was actually based on various space missions that have been done in the U.S. And so there's flavor text at the bottom of it that you can read.
There was a cute little card game called Snatch It, very much a family game, somewhat of set collecting, but people can snatch the sets if you collect from somebody else, and the goal is to hopefully have some cards in front of you that will be swallowed or stored away before the stork comes and steals. It's kind of a really light, silly theme. It's basically set collecting where you can take somebody else's sets, and your goal is to try to protect those sets so you can score them at the end of the game.
Right. So for families, I'm going to say this is a good one to help younger audiences teach about, matching numbers strategy, very light strategy. And I think it's an excellent intro game. And then comes Little Alchemist, which is, Alchemist. I didn't realize Alchemist was as old as it was.
I know. And that was definitely very much a heavier game. He told us that the designer, who had a young child at the time, was really taking interest in this game, but he said he knew they couldn't play it. So they started coming out with little simple variants of the game, and he's kind of turned it to a whole game called Little Alchemist. What's really cool about this is that the first game is very much an intro to the system and how it works. This is still an app-driven game like Alchemist was, where you take a picture using the app of 2 potions and it tells you what the potion creates. But what happens is as you play the same game over and over, you earn little keys, little sticker keys that you put on these sealed boxes. And once you have enough keys on the box, you open it up. But what that does is just add more components and some additional rules and complexity to the game. And then you play through that several times and open up another box. So the idea is it starts out extremely simple and gets more involved and more thinky over time. Perfect for children who are young, 7 years old, being able to play like this and grow with the game.
Right. And grow with the complexity of it. Really cool looking game. I mean, I like, and I don't know if it's a way to teach the kids, like even the younger ones could sit there with the app to get the potions, and then you place, hey, we just made this potion, so that mark goes here. But the young ones could sit there and they could just sit there and play with the app. That's really where you're going. And it does ramp up. I was pleased to see how well it ramped up. I mean, it wasn't something brain burner, but there was enough complexity that, say, even by age 10, 11, 12, this game should still be coming out once you've unlocked all the boxes. So, yeah, I mean, this is something with young kids. Definitely take a look at it when it comes out.
Exactly. Next, we went and talked to OP Games. Our good buddy Andrew talked about one of the hottest games at the show, Gnome Hollow. Lines there every day buying this game. This is like a worker placement style game, tile placement, worker placement. Sort of, you place tiles on the board and you're trying to complete a circle. Sort of deal. So we haven't played it yet, so we got kind of a quick overview. We're eventually going to get a copy and play it. Also very interested about Stock Exchange because it's a market-driven game, and he gave us a little overview of that, and that immediately just clicked with me. It's like, oh, okay, there's a flower market that changes over time, and some flowers are more valuable than the others. So those are their two hot games out right now.
And those for in the hobby game or at the various Targets and Walmart, they're coming out with Blank Challenge. Now, we've talked about Blank on this. Friends of mine really enjoy playing Blank, which is, how you complete a word. Blank Challenge is a two-person version of this. So definitely go. I mean, if you have Blank and you enjoy playing that, go take a look at it. I kept, unfortunately, calling it Blank Duo because of Codenames Duo, but this is Blank Challenge, which is for two-player only game.
We also got to see, remember Hogwarts Battle or Hogwarts? It was a deck building game. I can't remember the name of the full name of it. Came out many years ago.
Yep.
So they're coming out with a new version of that. It's been tweaked, made a little bit better. It's a co-op driven game, but this time it's themed after Avatar: The Last Airbender. So if you're a big fan of that, you may want to check that out. This will be coming out later. If you liked Hogwarts, then you'll probably really like this.
And they've learned a lot from that because they brought out another game. I can't remember which one it was in between the Hogwarts to Avatar, but they've learned a lot from the original Hogwarts. Like one of my biggest challenges with Hogwarts was it drug out on some of the big baddies. So here you are. They've learned how to manage that. So this is going to be a much better game.
We are big fans of a lot of the little card games that Allplay has. They have these really small box games, $20 or less. And we met with their representative, and she was telling about some of the games that are coming out. She's new to the company, so she's just trying to find out a little bit about us, what games that we've covered. We told them some games that we're interested in. I told her, we liked Lunar, we liked Sail, we played Bacon, and so they had a very packed, popular booth. We had to actually go out of the hall because it was so crowded in there. And so I'm always interested in the little games that they have coming out. We'll continue to do so.
Yeah, this was a way for her to gauge us and tell us, and I mean, she gave us very helpful. It was a very good meeting. I enjoyed talking with her. She actually helped us, saying, this is some of the things y'all can do to help grow the channel. And I was like, well, thank you very much for that. But good notes, good interaction between us.
Next, we met with our very good friend Danny from Flat River Group, and we got to play a little game that's will be coming out where you're trying to build the Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
You were taking a tile, okay, so you got me in with tiles. And when you do that, you then gather up pillars based on the various rules. When you take this pillar, you're going to gain it based on if there are tiles, a pile next to that tile equal to or less than, and the table counts as a level, and then you will get pillars, and then you will put those pillars on your board, and from that you will then flip the tile over. The next time you get that, you may be able to put another tile down, but you get to build a special thing, maybe a bridge, or maybe you're going to put in a fountain, and there's various rules on how these are all placed on the board. The whole ultimate goal of that is to build your hanging gardens, and you will score based on the various levels that you have with the various rules that, hey, if you've got these statues in a line or in a column in a row together, you get so many points. Marty and I kicked butt on this game.
No, we actually did. I kicked butt. So it's fun building this.
I kicked butt. Listen, who was picking the right tile?
You were.
But then you were doing your ultimate construction.
You were telling me where to place things. So
no, you had that.
So you try to build multiple levels. We only played 5 rounds, but you can get like a pretty impressive structure. For example, things like scoring, like the stairs. So you have a little plastic staircase that starts on one level and it goes up to the level right above it. And the value of the staircase at the end of the game is the level that it starts on plus the level that it ends. So if it was on level 2 and level 3, add those two together, you get 5 points. So you keep all this scoring in mind as you go along, and you try to place the pieces in the most strategic ways. And sometimes you'll cover up stuff that's no longer provides you any scoring, but maybe you decide to do that to get you better scoring down the road. Very simple kind of drafting game. Drafting a tile, place a tile sort of deal, but it also has that 3D element to it.
Right,
too.
and this is coming out much later. I look at this as this is a very individual game, but if you get locked in that, there's also some strategy, or there is strategy on drafting tiles. There's some little hate drafting going on here because maybe you need to block somebody from getting a tile that they really need. They only had one game, and so we only got to share so many tiles. So yeah, look for that one in the future.
Then we went and saw also another good friend of ours from the show, Ola. From Board and Dice, and they're showing off a new game that's going to be coming out later this year, Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age. And this is another one of those kind of a straight Euro style game, but with dice, but has a little bit of a programming element. There's going to be a whole set of dice that's rolled, and then we're going to take turns placing those dice in different action spots. And the lowest value die in each action spot will be get to go first for that particular action. So it's an idea of like actions, drawing cards, playing cards, but there's also a map in the middle where you can build buildings. That's one of the actions where there's kind of area majority in different areas that are scored over the course of the game. I don't know. It's just one of those things where, we roll dice. The color means something and be able to move up like a tech track sort of deal. And the values determine where you're going to go for that particular action. The higher value die of the action that you take is not as powerful as if you had a low value die there, etc. So I don't know. It's one of those, as she explained it, I kind of got it and I want to play it.
Right. I mean, a combination of dice help, multiple tracks. You got your own player board. You got some sailing going on. This one also is kind of like me to myself game. How can I continue to do well? But you got to make some hard decisions on how you're going to level up on the various spots of the board.
Me to myself.
Me to myself. I'm playing myself. It's my little game. Because there's not. I didn't see a lot of other than the majority. I didn't see a lot of interaction,
except for the fact that somebody can push you out of a spot. So if you claim a spot with like a die that's a value 3, somebody can take a die of value 2 and put you in that action slot and push you down, and the action you take in that spot will not be as good as what it was before.
Right, but once again, that's only if they when they do that. Yes, but I'm not losing out.
No, you're not losing. It's just maybe you were counting on to be able to do the special action, and maybe it's not as good. Right. But I see what you're saying, though. It's hopefully it won't feel as solitaire.
Yeah,
as what that is. So anyway, that's their big game coming out. Plus, they have some other expansions, Nucleum and stuff that's coming too. Then we actually Ravensburger set us up to do a special little strike event. We have one today and one tomorrow, where people could sign up and just come play Strike. Well, 5 people signed up.
Yes, they did.
To come hang out with us and play Strike, and we ran a little tournament, which was kind of fun.
Had a good time with that.
Yep, and they had a blast playing the game. We the winner actually got a copy of Strike, which was kind of cool. Everybody had a little moon pie to eat while we were there, so that was a fun
and the winner
time.
Gave it up because they all had copies of Strike,
which was really cool.
Yeah.
And they had never been to our event, and it sounded like they may want to come next year, so hopefully they will. Then Tony and I split ways. He went over to see some more games from Flat River Group over at a restaurant. I got the chance to sit down with Arcane Wonders and see some of the games that they are coming out with. One of them, Foundations of Metropolis, which is based on Foundations of Rome. It kind of plays the same way, but it's a cheaper version, so it doesn't have all the nice plastic parts. But is one that if you didn't get Foundations of Rome, this is a smaller box, cheaper, and easier to get to the table. They also had Video Game Champion, which is going to be coming out soon. And I love the tagline for this. It's the 1990s, the golden age of 16-bit video games, which like the Super Nintendo, Genesis, etc. Simpler time when every kid's dream revolved around becoming the next video game champion. I thought this was really cool because you have a grid of tiles. The top of the column and left of the row are these actions, and you're going to draft a tile, and you get to pick either to do the action on the row or the action on the column. And that is you're a kid, and you're trying to make some money to be able to go buy or rent video games and play them. There's video games out on the table that can be purchased. There's some that you can go to the video store and rent. The tiles that you claim are drafted or put into your play area, and those are actually button controllers.
Oh, geez.
Oh, this is really cool. And so the button controllers have different values and different colors. And let's say I've now made enough money to be able to go and rent a game, and for me to be able to beat this game, it'll tell you at the bottom what the criteria is. The criteria could be that you need to have 2 controller tiles of the same color, same value. So if I have a purple 3 and another purple 3, I have that. Hey, congratulations, you beat the game. You put your marker on it. It's going to be worth victory points at the end of the
victory
game.
points?
Yep.
Okay.
Then you're going to have to get some more money to go either buy a game or rent a game. But the more complicated games require more complicated buttons. Maybe it takes 4 of a kind of the same buttons in order to beat that game. But say that you don't. It's like, oh, I've only got 3 of a kind. Well, there could be something on the card that says, hey, if you got 2 of a kind, you've done somewhat well. So here's a special token for you. The special token is like you're practicing. You still need to get 4 of a kind, but that token you got can now be a wild, making it easier to complete that combo to beat the game and get the victory points. I don't know. It was just a cute drafting game and a kind of a resource management game. The art looks amazing. The art looks like basically box covers from that era of games. So I am super looking forward to getting our hands on that and playing that.
All right. So meanwhile, I went over to the press meeting, get a little food. So had some chicken tenders, had a little pretzel action going on over there. But I got to see 2 games, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time here. Not much. First one was World Order. Now, we've yet to get time to play Hegemony.
Right.
All right, because that's a heavy game. 2.5, 3 hours.
Yes.
Easy. So World Order is a lighter version, not of Hegemony, but just it's lighter. And I talked to the gentleman over there who was pitching it, and basically you're one of the 4 superpowers of the Earth. All right? U.S., China, Russia, and I forget what the 4th one was. So anyway, you are on your turn. You are going to set your focus of your power. You will set your economic policy, and then you will take 4 various actions. And throughout the whole time, you are trying to score victory points for these powers. And in doing so, the person at the end of the game with the most victory points was the best nation on the planet.
I'm very excited about that because I know the other one is, we just have to find a weekend to play it. That can't be a weeknight game for us.
Right.
And we just hadn't had time, so I'm excited for that one.
This one will play in about 2 to hour and a half to 2 hours. So it was like, okay. And I was going through it and I was reading the player aid sheet, and there wasn't much to it.
I am super looking forward to that. I did get over there after I had my meeting, and I had a couple pieces of leftover chicken and stuff, but it was kind of the event was wrapping up at the time, but I saw you playing something else when I came in.
Okay. So here is a game that I knew for me would not work. It's called Pinterest. Pentris. So I don't know if you've heard of this game called Tetris.
I have. And I've heard of a website called Pinterest.
This is PEN, not PIN.
I'm just saying,
Pinterest.
but they're playing.
Is it Pinterest or Pinterest? I know it's Pinterest. I know it's Pinterest. Anyway, so you've got these various pieces, Tetris type pieces, and on there are various shapes. There's waffles and hearts and diamonds and all this other stuff. And on these shapes, and they're spread out, that you will draft a piece and you will put it into your little tray that's like it's falling down, and you will then set it. All right. Then you'll get to draft the next one. And then when you put it in place, it's set, and you're trying to complete the various rows. You may not be able to, whatever, but you're also trying to match various figures. Because when doing so, when you comes time to score, and you will score 3 figures, you will get points based on how many of those that are touching one another, and you'll also score based on the number of rows you complete. And there are advanced rules and advanced harder pieces and pieces that have very special figures on them. And by the way, when you draft, rule is you may not take the piece and see if it fits. You draft it, you place it. And you can rotate it any way you want, just like you do in Tetris. So very interesting game. Spatial relations, which we all know is one of my big strengths. But it looked very fun. It reminded me of Candy Crush with Tetris pieces.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. A lot of interesting pieces, a lot of challenge. This is one of those that could be very brain burnery to people, especially when you get the advanced pieces and they create special impacts to your board.
Okay.
Really cool.
I would probably be interested in that.
Okay. It played very fast. So I was sitting there playing with the Tantrum House people, and we were having a big time with it.
Excellent. Okay, after that, last event of the night was we got invited to come and hang out with the designers of Star Wars Unlimited.
Didn't know anything about this other than we're hanging out with the designers.
Nope. And we get there and come to find out we're going to do a sealed or draft event.
Okay.
They give us 6 booster packs, and we as a group decided we want to do a draft. And so you got to do your first draft. And in our pot of 8, we got to sit with John, who's one of the designers of the game, and we just had a ball.
I didn't. I lost.
Okay.
4 times. It sucked. First off, I was talking to John about this. And for my first, I'm glad we got to do a draft tournament because tomorrow night we will be doing another one.
Yes.
So I got to understand how I need to look at cards.
Well, give me some tips since he told you.
Well, it wasn't so much that is that when I was drafting and I pulled the leaders that, I picked my first leader, which was Ray.
Okay.
For off the bottom. I said, okay, Ray. And then, we passed cards and then we drafted. The next one I got, I think was Bosk.
Okay.
Or no, it was Boba.
Okay.
It was Boba. And so then I passed. The next leader coming back to me was Boba again. And I'm like, well, first off, that sucks. I'm like, well, dadgummit. But so the guy was kind to me and he gave me Kira. I think that was not Kira.
Or Boss. I thought
Boss. I can't remember.
Anyway, you had 3 different
Boba,
leaders.
It wasn't Bosk. It was Boba. Yeah, Ray, and the one that starts with a Q. So anyway, I'm like, okay, I see what colors I need to draft. You've done these draft tournaments. You've got these under your belt. So you already have an idea of who your leader's going to be.
Well, kind of. Well, when I opened that first pack, I looked through and see, okay, maybe which direction do I want to go? I knew for Ray, she was just easier to play. Then it was just what was the other color I was going to look for to go with. And so after the first couple draft pulls, it's like, okay, it looks like I'm going to lead towards cunning. And then I just kind of went that direction.
Okay. So I'm sitting there with 2 villains and 1 hero.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm like, okay, well, it seems like hero will be easier because then I can go with the black.
Villain is black.
Villain black. So I definitely can. So, okay, well, let's go with that. Everybody, and I'm overthinking this. I'm like, okay, well, a lot of people, because everybody's saying, oh, look, all the rays are on the table. Right?
Yeah.
I was like,
there were a lot of rays.
There was a lot of rays. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do with all this? So I'm like, okay, well, let's just build around that. So I'm looking at red, black, and then I'm like, okay, what's the next color? Well, I'm not seeing a lot of green showing up in my first one. So I'm like, well, we'll just not go with green. And I'll need to start looking at the various keywords to this. And so I thought I had a pretty decent deck. I did not. I mean, I was told that was one of the more challenging leaders I picked, where, when she activates, you will basically have hopefully all your units shielded, because when she activates, you heal everybody. All units on the board get healed. And then all units take half their damage rounded down, or half their health rounded down for damage. And if your units are all shielded, which is one of her things, then you just remove the shields.
Yep.
All right. And you still
heal up.
Yep. That's the goal of that. I could not get that to work.
Well, then you got to make sure, like you said, everybody's shielded. So that is a tougher one to do. Mine was easy. So Ray is, if you can exhaust her, pay 1 for anybody that has power 2 or less, give them an experience token. So that was easy. I was drafting a bunch of stuff that was 1 or 2 power. So then using her ability was really straightforward. So I could use her ability on almost anybody. So I went 2-0 and then went up against Dan from main deck, Dan, and absolutely annihilated me. But everybody said he just had a really, really, really good deck, and he did. So I ended up going 2-1 overall. But then I got a chance to play with the designer John. He annihilated me too. So I was 2-2 on the night.
Oh, you were 2-2. Okay. Well, John was kind. He was talking to me about the various things. The first guy, or your second guy that you played that you won, I lost to. I'm sitting there watching, and it's like, holy cow! All he's got out is that moisture evaporator thing.
Restore.
Yeah. And all he was doing was sitting there constantly healing it up. And he kept leveling it up. I'm like, well, that's the stupidest thing ever. And it just sucks.
Yeah, because the moisture operator comes in with a 0 power. So when they attack, they deal no damage. But if you put some experience on it, then it's dealing damage and healing. And
it's like, okay. And then the first guy you played, which you beat, he came over. And the very first card he put out was that worm card, the lady whatever card. I don't know.
Yeah.
It has 0 power.
Yep.
But whenever you play an Underworld, it does 1 attack to your base.
Yep.
I couldn't get to it. For some odd reason, he kept taking out my ground
units.
Lady
Proxima or something like that.
Lady Proxima, he kept taking out my ground unit, so I could never take it out. So every time, here's an Underworld, here, take it to freaking damage. I'm like, this sucks.
But here's the thing. But now you've seen what other people do.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll help tomorrow night.
Yeah. And then John, you played him. He played all ground on you. For me, he had 4 space. I only had 2 in my freaking deck. It's like I never got the chance to draft space units.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But it was a lot of fun. And it was
your definition of fun and mine are different.
But talking to the designer, especially seeing how a designer of the game plays, it's like, oh, that's why you design games. His mind is just working, man. It was like that was so cool. The development team for this game is just so nice.
They are amazing,
and they just want to sit and play with the people that like their game. And exactly what they do. When I left, some guy came up and John said, "Would you like to play?" And I went, "Yes." So we sat and I played. And what was cool is John has everybody sign that he plays a base that he has. So he has a base with all these little signatures on all the people that he's played, which is just special.
Yeah, I got to sign. We were playing while we were waiting on the draft. I was playing my built deck, and actually it was doing pretty well. And he's like, "No, that's doing good." I'm like, "Okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better."
Yeah. So I hadn't played against that one, so I'll have to do that sometime. So anyway, that ended. Then we were supposed to come back and record, but when I walked back in the room, you asked me, "Where's your other deck box?" And I was like, "Oh crap!" So I had to walk all the way back to the convention hall, and luckily it was sitting there on the table.
Yeah. Oh my heavens! All right. Well, that's it for Friday night. At least it is for me. We got one more day, and then Sunday's the wrap up.
Well, I guess tomorrow night's really the wrap up.
Yeah.
One more segment. We got an 8 a.m. Event tomorrow, so it's time for bed.
Marty, were you at Gen Con?
I was.
Did you see some games that you liked?
Oh man, so many games, but I can't buy all those and take all those back on the plane. It would cost me a fortune, and I can't fit it in my luggage.
But you saw a bunch of games you like. So what's the solution?
I don't know. Is there a place I can get them online for a decent price?
And get them soon? I think there is.
And where's that?
At miniaturemarket.com. One of our best ads ever right there, y'all.
That was improvisation.
That's right. So miniaturemarket.com. That's right. If you didn't make it to Gen Con and you were excited to hear about some of the games we talked about, or maybe there are some games that you still want from last year's Gen Con, head over to Miniature Market, see what all they have. You know they're going to have some sale. They got to clear out some warehouse space for all these new games that are coming in. They're going to be hitting these big markdowns. Be sure to check it out.
Yeah, that's right. And they're always going to have you some really good prices. If you buy over $100 worth of games, you're going to get free shipping. And if you're thinking about doing that, please use our affiliate link, which you can find over at our website, rolldicetakenames.com. Just click on the Miniature Market link there. And in fact, why don't you bookmark that link? So anytime that you want to go to Miniature Market, it'll go straight there. Tony, I've used it so many times now that when I start typing in Miniature Market in my browser, it automatically fills in our affiliate link. So if you do that over and over, you could do the same thing. So yes, to get great prices on all these brand new games, head over to miniaturemarket.com. I think I do this every Saturday night at our Gen Con episode, but I'm doing it again. SATURDAY night. SATURDAY night.
Why?
I don't know.
Just something for you to do. I understand. All right, my notes are in order. Let's do this thing.
Okay, y'all get this. He actually took notes for this segment. He has like sheets of paper out here with notes of stuff that he wants to talk about.
Well, I mean, it's been 3 full, maybe 10 days. And so my brain's a little lost. So I knew if I didn't, then I would be making all kinds of mistakes. I don't need this one. Okay.
All right, so we started out actually doing a demo of a game called Union Arena, which is a new TCG from Bandai. I was only interested in it because they're doing a Demon Slayer and a Jujutsu Kaisen deck. I made Tony sit on the demo with me. He didn't care for it. That's fine. At least we just tried it out. It was free.
Was it free?
It was free.
They should have paid me. I'm just, So, okay. One, I appreciate the guy doing the demo. He did his best because there's one guy to handle a whole bunch of us. And, so he didn't really do a good job explaining the actions or anything because a lot of us, of course, he said most of those people were there just to do that, just so they could get a demo card.
A promo card.
Promo card.
Yep.
Right. I got a promo card. It's going on eBay. I guess it'll get me some money. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it does for me.
I will say, if you like One Piece, it has some of the same mechanics. There's kind of a twist to it. You only get 3 actions you can take per turn. And when you play a card, it'll cost maybe 1 or 2 actions. And then you have to pay resources for the card that you're going to play, which took my mind a second to trigger, because it's like, oh, so it cost me 2 things, actions and resources.
Right. To me, it felt clunky. Okay, you want to put this one card in the row, you spend an action. That was easy. The energy row. I got that. So now this card can be energy, which you can then use to play cards to your field. Okay, but you also need action points with that. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how do I get rid of cards and things like that? And then probably what really turned me off was, oh, that card's got raid. Where? You see that fine little 2-point print right there?
It's bad.
It was terrible.
It is. Those cards are really, I don't know why the print is that small, because it does not need to be.
There's no reason. Oh, so they can put a paragraph. If a card has a paragraph on it, the card needs to be redone or trashed.
And I don't argue with that. I will say the thing that I thought was cute with One Piece is the same thing here. Is at the beginning of the game, you take 7 cards off the top of your deck, and that's your life. And when you take damage, you take one of the life cards and discard it, but there may be a trigger on it, which does something like maybe puts it to your hand. I thought that was kind of unique, because there's like, oh, I took damage, but I get a benefit from it. So that's still there too. Look, I don't know. Here's the thing. If my boys or somebody else want to get a starter deck and try it, I'll get a starter deck and try it, but it's not something I'm going to invest in, and thus we don't need to talk any more about it.
Okay. I'm good with that. We could have even skipped it because it wasn't even on the timeline here. Okay.
First meeting with North Star Games, who is getting ready to promote their big Kickstarter called Nature, which they are calling Evolution 2.0.
That's right. Evolution, one of my favorite games, but Dominic, designer, sat in with us, and he was very enthusiastic, just like he was last year when he talked about Nature. And we got to hear all about it then. This game is for those of you that enjoy Evolution, but want to play with people who have never played, because one of the biggest faults with Evolution is when you play with experienced players, the other people become prey, plain and simple, and they don't have a very good time. And that is very true. This game is supposed to help eliminate that by comboing certain types of deck that are in the box. I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy this game, but just seeing the cards really didn't help me understand the game that much.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm loving the concept. I'm loving the idea of the individual modules and the various biomes that they're picking. I think that'll be fun. That'll be fun for people to kind of deck build, air quotes all around that. But Dominic made me excited for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the first Kickstarter is the big box, which will include the first 5, I can't remember what they call them, modules, expansions. I can't remember the exact
modules.
The first of them. And they said they're going to keep adding to those. And eventually, once all of them are going to release, they're going to have like 71 or so combinations of these decks that you can mix together. Pick a biome, pick a core deck, and then pick something else. Mm-hmm. But I like it because you can make the deck so the game so that, okay, there's not a lot of player interaction, not a lot of attacking, or there could be a lot of attacking, or there's ways to mitigate possible attacks. you put in the prey deck for attacking, you put in the flight deck for being able to avoid those attacks. I just kind of think that's neat, so you can make the game whatever you want it to be.
Right. And I like that when Dominic was talking about that, was so you don't want to have that take that feel, then you use the flight deck because there's not that much of a attack one another. Birds in my neighborhood attack one another. They chase the egg, drop the eggs out of the nest. Birds are nasty.
Yeah, some birds are really super mean. So that's going to be coming out in September.
And they hope that it will be in backers' hands June 2025. Retail at Gen Con 2025 is the plan. The deluxe version of this will include, some upgraded tokens and some Predator meeples that they're really excited about. I'm excited for Nature, Evolution 2.0. I look forward to seeing that next year.
Yeah, and you can go out to their website, North Star Games, and you can join the newsletter or notification on the Kickstarter, let you know, get updates for the Kickstarter when it launches. One cool thing we got to do, there is a marketing company called Off Duty Ninja that works with a lot of different game publishers. And it's kind of a mediary between content creators, game publishers, and stuff. They got a lore suite in Lucas Oilfield, and it's a place where you can come out and see some games and just chill for a bit. So, Tony, we picked up a couple Chick-fil-A sandwiches and went out there and sat on the suite overlooking the field and enjoyed a nice lunch.
That's right. I mean, we got to relax. We got to pretend we were watching a Colts ball game, the glory days of Peyton Manning, maybe. But yeah, it's always amazing to see all those tables across the field and know that there's tournaments going on throughout that whole thing. And one thing on our way there, Marty pointed out to me, was look at all the food trucks they had. They had way more food trucks than they did last year. They learned their lesson.
Yep. And it's a great spot for food trucks, and there was lines at every truck. So that was just a nice little getaway. And I always like going to Lucas Oil Field. I think it's just a real nice stadium, and I would actually love to see a game there. But it is about 15 minutes away from the convention center because we had to rush back and meet our good friends at Chip Theory Games.
Before we go there, I'm sorry. We skipped over one of the important things.
Backing up.
The Saturday Strike Tournament at Ravensburg.
Oh my gosh. I totally I am so sorry. Yeah, we're going to jump all the way back before that. Talk about our second Strike Tournament where we had... How many people showed up?
We had six. We had six. So you and I got to play. You got to play with your team. I got to play with my team. In the strike instructions, there is actually tournament rules. I had no clue. But then again, I don't think I've ever read the strike rule book until this weekend.
Right.
I mean, for 6 years, I've never, I played strike. Where did I play strike at? Was it at Origins? And that's when I fell in love with it. I forget.
But it was like the tournament rules are play 5 games. Basically, you track score when you're out. You get a score of how many people are left in the game. And after 5 games, you total up all the scores and the person lowest score wins.
Yes. And they got a copy of Strike. We had some good matches. I almost pulled off the win, but I didn't. I lost by 1 point on my side. But we had a lot of empty bowls in the second round. Not everybody won on mine, so that kind of was unusual. That was one lady. Her strategy was to try to eliminate dice in the bowl, which is right, and set it up so that only one dice was there for the next person. But I'm like, if you're not matching, you're really getting rid of your hand. And so it didn't work out too good for her, but she had a great time.
Yeah. And I had one interesting time when the bowl was empty and I had 5 dice, dropped all the dice in there, and what popped up was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There you go. You had the Chaz.
So, yeah, that was cool. That was a lot of fun. I think next year, if we do this again, I think we'll work with Ravensburg. I think we need to consolidate it down to just one event, get more people there, only make it like an hour long. And now that we know how a tournament works, we'll run it that way. And somebody said, wait a minute, is this going to affect whether, it's dice in the bowl or gladiators in the arena? And we said, nope, that's the official event that we have on the Thursday night.
Yeah, that's Street Strike.
Street Strike, that's right.
Street Strike at the OSF. That's
okay,
right.
Now fast forward. We went out and met Chip Theory Games. And basically that was all about mainly saying, guess what? Elder Scrolls is coming. We're going to get a copy to try out. I can't wait to try it out. It's a 23-pound box. It's a beast. So we know that's coming. But then they showed us several other things. They have a new Strong 20. themed game coming out that we got to try it. I've never played before, so we went through a little demo of this little solo dice game.
Taking the typical dice you see in a chip theory game, and you are trying to beat the big bad near the end by exploring paths. A merchant comes and visits you when you explore so that you can bring dice back. I found it to be a really cool solitaire game from the standpoint of the ease of play. You know, I mean, Andrew went through this very quickly with us, and it was just like, okay, I see what this is doing. Oh, I see where you're having to really challenge yourself on which dice to use. You know, certain dice have more hits, other ones don't. So it was kind of interesting. I thought it was, hey, yeah, I could see that small box game like that sitting on the shelf. Just pull that one out. And then next to it have either Elder Scrolls or Burn Cycle taking up the rest of the freaking table.
That's right.
Good gosh.
And then right before we got away, he said, hey, let me show you this. Did you know we had kids games? And I think you took some note on some of the cool kids games they have.
Yeah, my paper's coming in handy here. There's Chip Theory Kids, and we were completely mesmerized by these things because they are very cool. And actually, you know, as we get into our golden years, they are actually very helpful for even people of advanced age because it's 4 through 99 according to the box. So what happens is there's various ways to play. One of them is like you have to have these various, or what are those, or not origami shapes, or the various like Tetris piece shapes. There's polynomial shapes, and you have the case is metal, and the chips are magnetic, or the pieces are magnetic, and you overlay these animals, and you've got these pieces that you're trying to match in there. And we don't know all the rules, but the fact that it's a magnetic setting where you put an overlay in the box and you are sticking these pieces to it just blew us away. A couple of these are designed by Rainer Knizia.
May have heard of him.
Might have. And there's like Pixel Party, cover animals with shapes. It was just a really unique idea. And the other ones they had coming out, one of them was called Bear Stories and Octograb, which I got to watch Marty play. Explain that one.
It's honestly teaching people how to use chopsticks. You get basically what looks like chopsticks, and you attach them to the underside of like a rubber octopus so that it holds the sticks out, and you try to pick up pieces. I think it was you roll a die, and you have all these pieces in a tray, and you have to pick up a piece and put it onto your board. Obviously, it's a little light dexterity game, but it's definitely meant for kids, and I guess it's one of those things with me as a grandpa. In a few years, while I would have ignored these before, in a few years, I may find value in them. So anyway, he said, it's one of those things people don't expect us to have kids games, but we do, and I think these look really cool. Yeah, I mean, these games are one of those things where, you know, get the younger kids to play, help some, I hate saying it, but, elderly parents can work on their muscles, work on their dexterity, things like that. They're great little games, great little memory games, and they are going to be available come this Black Friday. That's right. That's when the new ones come out. So look for those on Black Friday, and they already have some out now. And our last meeting of the entire show was with Andy from Warhammer. And I'm surprised Tony went with me because I'm the one that kind of does the Warhammer thing because the boys got into it. And so we were sitting down, and he was telling us about Warhammer, and he was talking to us about this new format for Age of Sigmar called Spearhead, which is basically just the core rules without all the advanced stuff. And the idea is that you can buy a Spearhead set. You don't have to list build or anything. Everything you need is in a box, and you play on a board. And it takes about, he said, once you really understand the game, games only take 45 minutes. He said, this is actually a miniatures game that's supposed to be played like during lunch. All right. So this is a skirmish game, right? It is yes. All right. Skirmish game usually means very few models on the board, small play area, which is what this is. Yep. Right. But there are objectives instead of just wipe each other out. And those are variable each time. So there's a deck. And then there's also objectives, secret objectives that each of you are trying to achieve. He said, honestly, this is the miniature game for board gamers. Okay. All right. And that's where I perked up. The other than that, I was watching people walk around the conventions while Marty's geeking out on all these Warhammer words and terms. And I'm like, I have no idea. But then he goes, hey, but this is something that, I'm like, okay, 45 minutes. Okay, now I'm paying a lot more attention. There's a lot more strategy to this other than just trying to maneuver pieces, measure distance, and roll a bunch of dice. And I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about.
And I appreciate Andy sitting there explaining this as I continue to ask multiple questions. Well, I mean, and they were very valid questions. And I think he said, this is what the audience were trying to reach. Someone who has never played these games.
And I told him, I said, our audience is probably one of those that maybe not ever play any of those, or it's just too intimidating. And we want to be the conduit possibly for trying out some of these games. And again, if the barrier to entry is having to assemble and paint miniatures, this does not remove that barrier. That is still there. But Tony, you and I kind of perked up. It's like, oh, an army's only like 15 miniatures? I could put those together real quick and paint those real quick, and I still enjoy painting.
Unless you do the Slayers, and then it's like 500. I would pick the one that I like to have over. No, I think it was like almost 30.
It's 26.
26. I was like, oh my gosh, why would I even think that? Don't even go to.
Which is a low count for basically a miniatures game.
I know, but still. And so, but if you start enjoying Spearhead and you really get into it, it is your gateway into, of course, Age of Sigmar.
Right. And the miniatures that you use in Spearhead can translate straight to building a full army for Age of Sigmar. So again, their goal is kind of an entry point to learn the core rules. And if you want to, you can step up to the full game.
Right. And so the things I found interesting about this is you can, and I didn't understand it at first, was that, okay, there's this 2-player ultimate starter that they will have. And I forgot they've changed the name, he said, but it's a 2-player starter that includes 2 of these armies in the board that you need. But let's say you have these armies, then you can go ahead and just get the gang cards for ones that exist, spearheads and gang cards, and tells you how to set up an army is what my note says.
Yeah, so you can go online and see what the miniatures are for each of the spearhead units, and if you already have those, you can piece those together or single buy the ones that you need to fill it out. And all the data sheets and information is online, which you can print out and do whatever you want. So, and the rules are all online too. The only thing you need is the board and the cards, which is sold separately if you want for like $55 in Miniature Market.
And if you don't like the factions that are in there, you can pick up the boards and then look around and pick up the other spearhead boxes, which is what I was looking at with.
And there's a bunch of them.
There is a bunch of them. And I mean, so when we were looking online, it was like 210 for the ultimate starter, and then about 145 at Miniature Market for the various spearhead preset boxes.
Most of them are 125.
125?
Yeah,
okay.
The MSRP was around 145, so it was about 125 that most of them there. And again, it's like, my gosh, Marty, that's a lot. It is, but you know what? Nature's going to be around 120-ish on Kickstarter. I mean, that's what we try, and it's one of those things, if you're going to play a lot, well, it's not as bad as what it's, as what it used to be.
Right, but it could have, if you want to go play Age of Sigmar, it could be a lot more. That's
true. But again, for me, for you, I think this is the point. It would just be at this point, right? Because you actually said, shoot, on game nights, we could actually, before everybody gets there, take 45 minutes and play a quick game.
Right, and play and stop playing this game that, okay, does anybody want a set of Star Wars Unlimited cards? Just throwing that out there.
I'm about
Contact roll dice take names at gmail.com. Okay.
We did another draft event tonight.
Oh my gosh.
64 people signed up for the event. It's 8-player pods where they separate each into 8. You do the draft starting with 3 decks and you just play 3 single games. And so 64 people started. We were the last pod playing at the end of the.
It was so sad.
I looked around, I was
gosh.
like, everybody's gone, and the judge, like, yeah, y'all are the last ones.
Out of all of them, we're talking sealed deck, draft, and constructed.
Yeah, we were the last of everybody sitting there. Now, to be fair, in the first game, I don't know what was going on with you and the team beside of it. Y'all's games took forever.
Yes, they did. So one of the things that happened during the draft, and I appreciate the experience of doing a draft, but it seemed like my leader, so you get 3 packs of cards, and Marty's explained this, but just, we'll revisit it quickly here, is you get 3 packs of cards, you open up each card without looking at it, and you pull off the leaders. And then you keep one of those, and then you'll pass, I think we pass to the right.
Yes.
And you take the next leader, and you get what's ever left over. My leaders were all of the villain, the dark side that I had. That's what I kept getting. I never had the light side.
To me, I don't think that's bad because I
Yeah.
had a split between. So it's like, well, which path do I go down? At least you could take any villainous card, and then you just have to pick which aspect you want to focus on.
What aspect? But it was still kind of like, well, what are my options? So then, as you draft, you're going to open up. You're going to take the first pack of cards that you have, and you're going to flip them over. You're going to go straight to the back and look for any special and high dollar cards. Screw the draft. And then you're going to start building out based on what leader you think you might play.
You take a card and you'll pass to the left,
Right?
and then you'll keep passing until you've gone through the entire pack. And you do that with the other 2 packs, but just go back and forth, left and right.
Yeah, and then you have a deck of 30 or more cards
To build. Yeah, your minimum deck is 30 cards. Yeah,
and there's no restrictions on the numbers. Like you can only have 3 in the normal constructed here. It doesn't matter. It's out the window. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. So yeah, I'm playing one, and the young lady across from me, and I'm like, oh great, it's a younger person.
What do you think? How old do you think she was?
14.
Is that what she was? 14? Okay.
That's she was about 14. Amazing.
She did great. I ended up playing her at the end of the night too. And she played a leader that is like, I don't want to play this leader because it looks complicated. And she made it look easy.
And I played that leader the night before, and I felt like I was an idiot because she was doing the things I wanted to try to achieve, and she was knocking it out of the park. Don't judge a book by its cover. And I've been in tournaments before where you get in there, and even the people that you're playing with, it's like, okay, do they understand what's going on? Am I going to have some, what am I dealing with here? And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I wish I had that acumen for this.
Well, here's the thing: is she also knew the cards very well. So when I was playing against her, I'd play a card. She goes, okay. And she would, understand what it's going to do. It's like, oh, and she'd play a card and go, can I read that card? I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So I was like, okay.
It was great. She was really cool. And she was playing with her dad. Yeah. So it was her dad and her playing together.
A good friend of theirs, he was playing. I got to play him at the end.
I played him first.
You played him first.
Mm-hmm.
I scared him a little bit, but then he just wiped me out. He really knew how to play this game. So Marty and I, once again, talk to us if you need some Star Wars Unlimited cards. Oh my gosh.
Well, we're hoping after this we'll have a little time and can find a spot. We can actually play the constructed decks that you and I brought that we hadn't done yet. And with that concludes our Gen Con. Tomorrow is Sunday. Sunday is our easy day. We have no meetings. I just like to kind of walk around the hall, make sure I didn't miss anything before we hop on the plane and head home. But you know what? It was another great and very successful show.
Yep, and I still don't understand how we got close to 50 pounds in our bags when I don't feel like we had a lot of games.
We don't. We're actually not bringing a lot of stuff. Well, books. I got several rule books that for me and my son and stuff, and those are 2-3 pounds a piece.
Okay, and you're taking the 2 D&D books home, and those are pretty chunky.
Those were like a total of 6-7 pounds.
Yeah,
and then a couple other rule books. But we are bringing a lot less home this time when I feel like we've done in the past, game-wise.
And I know where my weight is. My weight is in, I got mats for Earth. Thank you, Inside Up. I really wanted those mats to help play Earth. And then I also picked up a mat from Gray Fox Games from Champions of Midgard.
Yeah, that's a nice mat.
That's a nice mat, and that's one of my favorite games.
Yeah, that's really cool. It was a fantastic show. If y'all have never done Gen Con, it is crazy. It is a little insane. The aisles are kind of crazy. Thursday was so insane that Saturday didn't seem any more crazy than what it.
Yeah, I actually felt like there was ways to. I mean, the aisles were a little bit slower, but I didn't feel like I was as bogged down as I was on Thursday at the intersections with the trash cans. I still don't understand that. I wish they'd figure out how to do roundabouts.
Yeah, it feels, They honestly, what they should do is put turnstiles on there to create the roundabout.
They got to do something. Yeah, that would be hilarious. I really think you'd put the roundabouts and have people, the traffic would keep flowing instead of having people stop there at the freaking trash can.
And then run into each other and do the awkward thing. It's like, you go, I go, you go. Okay, we both go at the same time. Bam!
Bam. Or someone's walking in front of you. It's typical stuff. Y'all know how it is when you get in a big crowd. Someone's walking and then suddenly they go, wait, and they turn around and, hey, how are you?
And then they got a big old backpack on their back. And when they spin, they hit you with it. Those stupid big old backpacks that can hold all the board games that people are carrying around that feel like they stick out about 3 feet on the bike. That's insane. They need to make those illegal.
Right. Gen Con, it's done, and it's time to get on a plane.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back next with a regular episode. We'll start playing some of these games that we got or had on the back burner. We got a lot of the pre-Gen Con stuff on the previous show, and we'll just kind of continue from there. And if there's something that you heard us talk about or mentioned in the show that you'd like us to play, I said, hey guys, well, I heard you talk about that one. How about playing that one pretty soon? Just let us know. You can do that over on our Discord channel.
But until then, keep rolling dice
and taking names. Hey y'all, thanks for listening. If you want to support the show, you can do so by heading over to buymeamoonpie.com. If you want to follow us on social media, it's at Dyson Names on Instagram and X. And did you know our podcast is also released on our YouTube channel? Get notified when the latest comes out by subscribing over to our YouTube channel at Roll Dice Take Names. And come back next episode where we'll look at games that are played in under 1 hour. All right, recording's done. You want to go play another game of Star Wars Unlimited?
Yeah, what's one more loss? I can handle it.